Welcome back, wealth builders, entrepreneurs. Michael Rosmer here with Richucation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching these videos. I hope you're getting tons of value. We're delving into the subject right now of leveraging multiples. All right, again, fairly quick thing to do. Okay, leverage multiples. This is mostly useful where you have public companies, but not necessarily, right? In theory, it could be with a private company if you can somehow have some kind of a reasonable valuation. Okay, in other words, so as an example, you have investors that have driven, so you've got a valuation based on them. Okay, so leveraging multiples, particularly useful for public companies. Okay, particularly, and the greatest example that I can think of for this is Wayne Huizenga for public companies. So Wayne is, for those of you who don't know, the guy who did Blockbuster, Waste Management, and I think it's called AutoNation. He's like a super impressive thing. If you go down to Fort Lauderdale, you go along the canals, there's like all these houses of his. Be like his, the one that he bought for his cousin when she got married, or whoever who lent him money back in the day. And there's the one for his wife and his ex-wife, and it's just, I don't remember specifically what they are, but there's all these like $20 million houses that it's pretty, it's quite the situation. Anyway, so leverage multiples. How does this work? Well, remember we talked about how your business has a multiple, okay, on the valuation. So valuation is derived from underlying value, okay, underlying value times multiple. Okay? So, how can you leverage that multiple? Well, if you have a high multiple and you buy a low multiple company, okay? So, buy low multiple company. That's really, or asset, really. Company / asset. All right. You can potentially now turn around and take advantage of this in a big, big way. Okay? So, the Wayne Huizenga example. Waste Management, they did the same thing. In Blockbuster, I think they were doing an acquisition on average like every 9 hours or something, every 13 hours at their peak. That's how much of an acquisition machine Blockbuster was. It's crazy, right? Like, you know what kind of an infrastructure of purchasing companies you need in order to make that happen? So what they'd do is they would go in and there'd be this, video store. And the video store is making $100,000 a year. Great, whatever. And maybe it's got a multiple of 2 times. 2 times, 3 times, whatever the number is, right? Let's call it 3 times. So it's worth $300,000, all right? Great. Well, now Blockbuster has a multiple of 40 times, say. Actually, let's say it's 20 at this point in time. 20 times, okay? And let's, for simplicity's sake, actually say that the original one has one of 2 times. So we're actually at $200,000. So what they do is, rather than giving them $200,000, they do a stock-only purchase, and they pay them $200,000 of stock, okay? And the reason somebody would want to do this is, hey, look, the stock has liquidity anyway, and that stock is going to turn around and hopefully go up in value, right? So if you had a private company, what would your story be? You'd say, well, we have a valuation of X million dollars, right? $20 million, $100 million, whatever the number is. And so we will give you, in this particular case, let's say it's $20 million valuation, right? We will give you 1% shares in the company and trade for your company. So that will entitle you to this. And look, our company is growing fast. Our company looks like it's going to go public. You could stand to make a lot more than $200,000 off this money. So the person says, all right, I'm willing to do that. I'll do it. I don't need the $200,000 right now. This is like, I'm getting in on something big. Let's go. Let's hit it. Okay? So that's what you do. Well, what just happened? You just increased the profits of this company that was trading at a 20 times multiple by $100,000. So you increase the valuation of that company by not $200,000, but $2 million. Okay? So now when you go to the next person, you say, hey, we have a valuation of $2 million, or of $22 million. We'll go and we'll give you a little less than 1% shares, right, to buy it. And we keep doing this multiplying thing. Now, because you're doing these acquisitions so rapidly, in the case of something like Blockbuster or Waste Management, and of course, when you're coming in there, you're putting their systems in place, you're putting their brand on it, etc. So you're creating some efficiencies. So probably you took that from $100,000 a year to $150,000 a year or something. So it helps even more, right? But investors look and they say, whoa, Blockbuster, because they did, let's say, 10 acquisitions this year, okay? So they just went from $1 million a year to $2 million a year in profit in 1 year, okay? So now they say, whoa, well, they're growing pretty fast. Maybe they do it again the next year, right? So say let's keep it the same. Now they do twice as many acquisitions, right? And they grow from 2 million to 4 million, all right? Well, now they might say, well, because the market might say, because it's growing so fast, we're going to assign a 40 times multiple. Because a company that's doubling every year, year after year, like, not only is this stable, right? If you have a stable company, you should have a multiple of about 10 times, you know, like if you're big, right? It's kind of what you're going to see. It might be a little bit lower, it might be a little higher, it depends on the industry, etc., right? But usually a pretty stable company, you can see it in banks, insurance companies, etc., they're about 10 times multiples, okay? So if your company is not going to go down, not going to go up much, it'll go up a little bit each year, it's pumping out good cash flow, it's a solid company, it's got sufficient scale, these sorts of things, market's probably going to say it's worth about 10 times, right? Again, depending on the interest rate. As the interest rates go down, that would be expected to go, or that would be expected to go up, and as they go, vice versa, right? Right now they're really low, so we expect somewhere in that. You'll see if you go and look at bank stocks. Bank stocks right now are, 10 to 12%, sometimes 13, or 10 to 12 times, sometimes 13. Sometimes they go down to as low as 9. If they go down to as low as 9, usually you want to buy, depending on what the forward. Anyway, so let's say they're like, okay, well, a company that's solid, we're going to say is 10 times. So a company's growing decently, it's 20. But if they're doubling every year, we're going to give them a 40 times. Okay, so now they've gone from 1 million to 2, from 2 to 4. At a 40 times multiple, that $4 million is a $160 million valuation. So notice how in 2 years, they've gone from a $20 million valuation to a $160 million valuation. Now, what does that do about their ability to go buy new companies? It's like multiplied astronomically, right? Because now they have to give up only a tiny amount of shares to go and buy these companies because of the fact that their multiple is so much higher. So they're leveraging that multiple in order to be able to grow. Obviously, this is a stage 5 business thing. It's not something that a lot of people are going to do, but it's something worth noting because it's so powerful. Like, Wayne has built 3 multi-billion-dollar companies, impressive companies. He's built himself a multi-billion-dollar net worth using this strategy. Okay, so with that in mind, I wanted to give it to you as an example. There's probably some other ways, you could turn around and if you have a great multiple, you could also turn around and get financing differently, right? So you can bring on investors differently, right? So how much do you have to give up with the company if you have a high multiple to investors? Lower amount, right? If you have that higher valuation, how much are you going to have to give up in terms of financing, right? It's like they're going to be able to say, okay, we can lend more relative to the same amount of cash flow, potentially, right? Particularly if it's public, there's some sort of valuation there. So these are examples of cases where you're like, wow, this is really, really significant. If you look at the ability of companies like Tesla and Solar City to get financing, Tesla and SpaceX, they'll go and raise like a huge amount of money on the bond market, etc. It's like, what's that based on? I mean, they're losing money in a lot of these cases, right? But they've got a lot of valuation, and that valuation is coming largely from the multiple, from the future look. So allows you to protect yourself and create this growth. So very, very important increase your multiple as much as possible. And we've talked a little bit about the things to do that with, right? Scale, stability, growth, primarily, the market as well. So hope that helps. If you guys want some support and assistance, reach out to us, join the action classes. I'm going to see you guys on the next video.